format going on also. And this is just to make sure that I maximize the amount of people that are able to listen to this build today. I'm not really on the media channels often because, you know, realistically, if this is working, this should actually put you into a position where you really have to choose what you're going to do with your time. So I see a lot of stuff out right now, and it's always, you know, lots of talking, and you can see it. It's all the social media, hey, make money thing, and it's easy to see that. However, what this is about is actually getting to the position where you could actually really do that by becoming the bank. So let me take a minute longer because we're waiting on the stream to get started over on the YouTube side. And also, Sean, I'll be waiting for confirmation on that. I actually think that there's that will start at the time that it's set to start. So it's not going to just start because we're pushing a signal to it right now.
Hold on, brother. You are live on YouTube. Can you make Sean moderator
Absolutely.
in here? A co-host? Sorry, co-host.
Sure. Okay. So let me do that now. And we're a bit early today. Like I mentioned to everybody, it's great to be early. We're going to get started around the top of the hour exactly. And it's just because time is of the essence. We have something that's really popping. It really works. It's trustless. This is a term you're going to hear today. And what trustless means is that it's not something that you have to trust somebody that is going to work. There's actually technologies that are available now that you get the opportunity to just, you know, try them out, see if there's going to be really money there, and then make your financial decisions from there. So also, if you're tuning in on one of the podcast channels where you're only hearing the audio, we're actually available on YouTube Innerstanding with this same build, especially if we start talking about images and you can't see the image for whatever reason. So let me see here. I think I'm gonna boost up the quality a little bit. Give me 1 second. Man, they putting that airbrush on this thing. I don't need the airbrush. I mean, looking like a wax figure on this thing. Okay. All right. So we have about 1 minute before the top of the hour. And since we started on YouTube already, I think there's a confirmation of that. Can I get one more confirmation of that, though? Because I don't see that on my end.
It's rolling, brother.
Okay, great. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing started. The runtime on today's build is set for 1 hour. This is not the time to answer questions about things related to support. We actually handle support very proficiently in our Telegram group. And then also, if you just want to go to the bottom right of any of our sites, you'll see that there's intercom there. So you can text us there. Someone can get back with you to help you and assist you on any process that you may be going through or something that you need to know more about. So let me bring some context very briefly around today's build. We're calling this today being your own bank. And that's a serious term. It seems funny to people to think that they could become their own bank. It seems fictitious, but that's the times that we're living in. Once I found out that I could actually be my own bank, I immediately jumped at it because when I was in Atlanta, I heard of a few people who actually had banks, even some brothers that actually had banks, and it was fascinating to me. But when they started explaining all of the red tape that you had to go through to be your own bank, I was a little bit taken aback at that point and saying, well, I'm not sure if I can jump through all those hoops and pay all that money. But now the time has actually come directly to us to where we can be our own bank. We can actually use our own financial instruments. And the benefit of all of this is actually that right now we're kind of caught in this cycle where we're selling services. This is now the new thing. It's like, hey, listen to me talk. Here's my course on X. And hopefully this assists you. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, but just so you understand, that's called selling a service. There's generally nothing tangible there. Like if I say, hey, I'm going to sell you some mangoes, that's obviously selling you a resource. So when we think about the markets of selling services and selling resources, we can see that that's the markets that are really struggling right now. But the market that has never struggled is actually the ones who are selling money or working with only money. So when you deal with cryptocurrency, that's really what you're getting into is you're now just dealing with money. So this kind of takes the middleman, if you may, of products and resources out of the way, because especially right now where many are trying to be what they call pandemic proof, you really need to get to a point where basically that you really pay attention to how you're going to be making money in this next year or two. And if you have a job that's selling a service or selling a product, you may find yourself into a position where you're constantly troubled, got anxiety, et cetera, because you're like, hey, you know, am I going to be able to keep this going on? So we call that automated wealth on this side. Automated wealth is a term that we coined that means in a nutshell that you have the opportunity to automate your ability to make money. And because there's so many, I would just say flat out scams out here, even the idea of automated money seems preposterous. This means that you will be able to make money without doing anything per se. We call it making money while you sleep. So let's just look at it from this angle, though. If you noticed that, and we did an entire automated wealth webinar for those who haven't checked that out. It's called the Conscious Economic Forum 2020. And that's also available on YouTube, where we did a top-down approach and we looked at we went through Crunchbase and we looked at the big time money makers and what they were getting into. We even looked at the owners of Facebook. We looked at the owners of big companies that were working and pioneering different technologies and automation. And what we see is, once again, that this whole thing with how money is being made has moved on. In fact, in big companies, they have a tendency not to be trying to hire a lot of people because that basically produces more complexity. So they try to automate as much of that as possible, even if it's just some robot putting things in packages or building cars. So if you can think of, hey, if I had one of those robots and it could really get to a point of building something, that's the idea of automated wealth. Because as long as you give this robot some oil basically and some power, it's going to keep building, and it's not going to really give you an attitude. It's going to make less mistakes. So basically, we're already in the times where the big time business owners, if you may, have already decided to automate their wealth. Unfortunately, we didn't get the memo. As a people, the goal is basically to enslave us. There's an idea that we should wake up at, I guess, 6 a.m. and we should get off work around 5, get stuck in traffic, go home, barely take care of our kids, rinse, rewind, repeat. And that's really the society that we're living in right now. And that seems to be okay. Get a job. And then, of course, there's the hustle, and the hustle always has the drawback of a jail time. You know, if you're doing things and it's just a bit nefarious and you finally get caught. So just this whole thing with us trying to make money in this world has caused a plethora of issues. But it's interesting to find out that the real money makers in the world are not actually working. Well, I know people kind of know that, but I mean that in a way that it doesn't mean that they're not doing anything. It's just they have something else doing it for them. So this is really what the pretext of what we're going to be talking about today with Wealthybot and the software and the application. For those that are just joining in, you can check this software out at wealthybot.io. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So this is an app that allows you to not only onboard into cryptocurrency as simple as possible, but it also handles the process of you making profits. It's already working. Just on our side alone, there's 2,000 people in the system, and everybody is making money unless they've been trying to mess with it and making mistakes. So literally, it does it by itself. Also, what we're going to be talking about today is how to fine tune it and kind of super tune it and tweak it to even make more profits than it would make if you just what we call set it and forget it. So the first thing that I actually wanted to talk, the next thing I actually wanted to talk about was, again, so making wealth should be automated. The hustle is overrated. It's 2020. Here you are trying to figure it out with ClickFunnels and trying to, you know, there's a lot of different ways people get money, but basically they got us trying to do that, and they're already automating the entire system, and it's phasing out many of the jobs. So I just want to also give a brief background about who I am for those that are listening to me for the first time or just figuring out who I am. Maybe you got dropped into one of these channels on the algorithm or whatever. And I just want to let you know that, for the record, my name is Seven Bomar. People majorly know me for spiritual content, metaphysical content. I went through a massive awakening 10 years ago. I blew open all my chakras. And in this journey that lasted about 2 weeks, I got a chance to see exactly how the world really works from a deep level. So this is third eye activity. I started cracking codes in the English language. I figured out a bunch of things about how to get the body to generate energy and actually be able to tap into a different aspect of who you truly are. And I also did this in a way where I felt like that we were introducing something that was fresh and it was new. So because of having that background, actually, when I went through that awakening, I was cracking into stuff that I don't think people still think is irrelevant. And this has been 10 years for me. I have about 120,000 YouTube subscribers. I built a social media network where there's 30,000 people inside the network. We invented a few products, mainly the world's first water programmer. We also invented a hydrogen generator, which are also consumer versions available on the market right now. And I also pioneered an application that allows you to know more about yourself that we call Ennealogy, that deploys on your cellular phone, that gives you unique information about your position in this whole thing. So I went headlong into that. It's been a decade. I call it a tenure, which I mean that it takes about 10 years to really go into something, master it, and then come back with something that is usable. I'm also in Costa Rica. I came out of Atlanta about 10 or 11 years ago. I got here. I didn't speak the language, which kind of helped me not get distracted. So this is also the reason why if some say, well, how could you have built all of this? I'm also an author of the book called The Code to the Matrix, which is available on the internet for free. So some again may say, well, how were you able to do all of this? And I was able to do all this because I'm not talking to people all day. I'm really getting to it and actually bringing solutions from the problems that I'm seeing from tuning into the network. So again, there's about 30,000 of us inside of secretenergy.com. We have millions of impressions all over the internet, but we're predominantly known for the metaphysical knowledge. Now, in this process of me just blowing through, everything that people would think is mysteries, even stuff like what happens after you die, I still was a bit taken aback that we had only reached after 10 years, 100,000 subscribers. I actually thought that this would, become something that everybody found out about and the world would change. Maybe I was a bit naive on that, but I knew the potency of the knowledge that I was bringing. So I kept bringing it. But then I noticed, of course, that if you're not talking about things that people feel are relevant, people feel that they really, really want based on the programs that they're being fed, then you're just not really going to get as many people tapping into it as you think. And so that has been the case in many ways. Now we have, again, our core group. But I believe personally, now that all this stuff is happening in the world, we're starting to trend a lot more and people are seeing the power of having a conscious ecosystem. So not just a conscious social network. Secret Energy is an entire ecosystem where you can manage everything about your life, including making money. And that was another big thing because people tend to not see spirituality, metaphysics, and making money tied into each other. But I proved that not only that it was, but also if we kept saying, hey, buy these organics, buy these supplements and these products, et cetera, and we didn't give people a way to do all of that, then we would maybe be falling short on our part. In addition, I always would say something like, well, if we're so intelligent and we've been able to figure all this stuff about metaphysics and spirituality, et cetera, out, why are we having such a hard time with money? So I challenged my consciousness to actually come up with a solution for making money for conscious people. And that's how this all started. It also started about, I would say, 4 years ago, let's say around 2017. And this time Bitcoin was kind of playing around and it was even sitting as low as $5,000. I actually was able to even call Ethereum as being a very popular coin back when it was still on Kickstarter. And even some of my friends invested in it, even though I didn't. So I had felt this a kinship for a while with cryptocurrency because I just felt the wave of energy coming through that could possibly free people up from what I felt was one of the bigger issues that they keep ignoring, which is the situation with money. And just to make it very simple, when you transact inside of a system that is public, then all your transactions are public. And because of this, that you have to obey the rules of the public sector. So when you're using fiat currency, then you need to report this. You need to tell them everything about what you're doing versus it's always been another side to this called a sovereign or private side, which is that it's none of your business what I'm doing. If I have the ability as a sovereign to transact with someone else who is a sovereign on the private side, then I can do that transaction privately. And that's exactly how most rich people still transact to this day. That's why gold also was very important because that's what generally would be brought to the table. The transaction would take place. There would be no record of the transaction in the public system, nor did there need to be. And of course, when you think about all of the predatory lending and all the stuff that's happening now, you could see why that's very important. So that again is a little of my background of just what I've been able to develop in this 10 years. And again, what it brought me to is it brought me to this software, which was basically brought to me in a synchronistic way. First, it started out with just working with the charts, seeing what's going on in crypto, investing a little bit of money, but also realizing very, very fast that that's a job in itself. Not only do you need to know and learn how the technology works, you also need to have the mindset of a trader, like someone who actually does stock market trading. And people tend to have a tendency not to have this kind of ability, because it requires that you buy when things are going down or in the red. And then it requires that you sell when things are in the green and going up. But our mind works exactly opposite. We see something going down and in the red, and we're like, well, I'm not going to buy that because it's going to be worthless. And then we see something going up in the green, and we're like, yo, I better buy that now, so that way I don't miss out on this thing, because we think we're going to win the lottery. And with that kind of buying and selling and trading, you actually become bankrupt rather fast. It becomes almost like Vegas or a casino for you. And it's almost like the house always wins. So until you really know how to trade currency, which is also a big time emotional thing, you never really get to the stage of really being able to make money on stocks, bonds, currencies, etc. So I learned that lesson. It was a very expensive lesson for me. And when I came out of the whole ordeal, even though cryptocurrency survived, I realized that if I was going to get more people involved in this and get mainly my people, my group, my tribe, my family involved in this, then I needed to simplify it. So through a series of events, we decided that we'd come on board with a software called Wealthybot.io. And what we do is we bring in an excessive amount of support. That really there is a learning curve to be in a bank and learning how to work with the numbers. It's not that difficult. It's not as difficult as probably many of the things you've been able to accomplish in life, but it's also not as easy as a push of a button. And this is what deters a lot of people from getting involved in it. In fact, there was Bitcoin at $50. It's at $27,000 now. And many people knew about it that whole time and just didn't get up and get involved in it. Now there's also this thing where people feel like it's too late, but it's never too late when you understand microtransactions, when you understand how investing works. And also you could find yourself in a position like a lot of people that were born during the time where the .com and the www. Whole internet thing started. You could have bought yellow.com, red.com, blue.com, off.com, on.com. All those .coms were readily available and you could have bought them just like anybody else. But that's those for those that are probably in their 40s right now. But where were we at? We were really we knew about it, but we didn't do anything. Now, any of those domains right now are worth millions of dollars. So what I'm telling you is that all the time something massive is happening and people are generally somewhere else. Like even in one of our podcasts right now, there's about 4 people in that podcast. I give thanks for you tuning into yourself. This is on the Clubhouse, but you'll see rooms filled with thousands and thousands of people all just, hey, what's your booty looking like today? And would you do this and that? And you can get nothing from this kind of thing. So you can imagine how much and how deep the programming is when the opportunity to actually become a sovereign and to become your own bank is available, but most people are tuning into something totally different that is not going to allow them to do that. And in the meantime, those who have done the most research on keywords that can put up something like, I'm going to flip your ROI 100 times, and then you jump in there and you get drained for a 1 or 2 hour meeting about basically how ClickFunnels works, when all of that stuff is prehistoric right now, meaning making money is a trend and you have to stay on the trend. And you can watch those trends, as I've often educated people about. You can watch those trends on Crunchbase. Crunchbase is a website that takes all of the public data that's available from other companies about their investments and what they're putting money in, and they publish that information publicly. And so if you have even a 15-day free membership at Crunchbase and you knew what you were looking at, you would know what your next investment is going to be and you would make money. And so just like I'm telling you this right now, there are other people who already know about this. They're already doing this. And so what that also equates to is that there's a lot of money coming out in the world right now, but it's only going in the hands of the few. And then eventually what happens is that they end up having so much money that prices start going up on things, and that's okay for them, but it may not be okay for you if you haven't already adapted a new way of being able to make capital. So in this case, we're talking about automated wealth and we're talking about making profits in cryptocurrency. Now, another thing that I want to tell you is that some people say, well, how does it all work? I know this is probably going to be another scam or blah, 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 blah. It's very simple. The cryptocurrency market is going like this. It's worth at a minimum $7 trillion. Right now, I think it's at about 700 billion. So not even at 1 trillion yet. So this is where the money is coming from. So if anybody say, well, so where's the money coming from? Because in a pyramid scheme, of course, the money's coming from the new people that are coming in. That's how it all works. So a lot of these things, hey, where's the money coming from? You got to know, if you're not trying to get scammed, where is the money coming from? And I'm telling you, the money is coming from the adoption of these new digital currencies that are worth at least $7 trillion in a market that only has a $700 billion saturation. So you have all of that room in there. And so that money is going to land in somebody's pocket. So if you've ever started a business before, you know, generally what you do is you go and you investigate what industry this is and how much that industry is worth and what percentage of that industry do you plan on getting. Okay, so then so let's say daycare, right? So you have a daycare. This is a $2 billion industry. You start a daycare in, I don't know, Chicago. You should be able to get 0.5% of that money. And then that equates to, and then you have a specific number. Okay, so that's how you calculate what industry you're going to be going in to determine through analytics, am I going to make money or not? So in cryptocurrency, what we're saying is that the industry is worth $7 trillion. About 700 billion of it is already taken up. There's plenty of room there. The money's going to land in somebody's pocket. So where are you at? And the benefit of this is you're only dealing with money. There's no other like a product or shipping or a book or something like this, which again, I'm calling in this conversation a middleman, because it generally takes you to get that to work too in order for it to start to churn, versus in this, it's already churning. You just need to figure out how to get your coffers out there so that you can catch the wealth that's coming through, right? And it's already being done. So the next thing is that if you look at, let me see, talk about I'm going through my notes here because, you know, I have some specific stuff. That's why I said we're going to be here for an hour. I'm going to explain to you some new features of tuning this thing up a bit more, but I wanted to give you a prelude, especially for those that are just jumping in, and we'll share this recording later of how this all started and that we're already using it. It's already working, but why it's working, because that's generally what you get from people. You're talking about free money. It's not free. It's just coming through some other area. And this is about you getting some of it. All right. So I'll also say in conclusion that in that whole advent of me coming into this massive spiritual awareness and learning everything about what you could do with your body and your consciousness and coming out of the body and flying into other atmospheres and all this kind of stuff, I'm still here to tell you that I went through all those experiences. I still go through those experiences, but I also have to make it back to the world every single morning or every time I come out of meditation. Okay. And what makes that funny then to me is that to me is something that only a small percentage of people are really trying to understand, right? Which is to me also a bit humbling, because I thought that was going to be the big thing that was going to take us all to the next level. Now I'm in somewhat of another arena, and I'm delivering information just about what I feel like people are facing issues with the most: money, to solve that problem. So maybe when you get your money together, you can start figuring out what's going on with your soul. Because the same type of dynamics that we're talking about, how we broke down this whole money thing and we basically defeated the money monster, is the same thing that you're going to have to go through in life to defeat many of the things that are holding you back. I will say for the record that when you start blowing out into another framework, what you realize is that it's all the mind. And because most people don't have control over their mind, they definitely don't have control over their wealth and many other things. And it's as simple as, if I'm so concerned about what another person thinks about me, what they think that I look like, right? So you may be concerned that people are thinking about what you look like, but you're going to be 70 soon, hopefully. And I'm telling you, you're probably not going to look like spring chicken at that stage. So it just means getting mature and just understanding, what do I need to be doing now for myself, rather than trying to see what the game is talking about or seeing what somebody else is talking about, that at the end of the day is also probably wasting their time and is not going to be able to bail you out of any situation that you're experiencing. So this is about basically maturity. And that's what becoming your own bank is maturity, because now when the money is moving around, you're responsible for taking profits. You're responsible for how much money you're putting in. You're responsible for even make sure somebody doesn't come and steal your money. But this responsibility also gives you sovereignty, and it also puts you in the current to where all the money is moving right now. Okay. So what I want to talk about again is, of course, there's a lot of scams out there, as I mentioned earlier. Like, I think there's a few YouTube channels that are now just dedicated to scams. Okay. So there's many of them out there. And I want to tell anybody here that is skeptical, what we built is we built a system that is trustless. And again, what that means is that means that you could use the system and see how the system will work and not actually spend any money. So how that's accomplished with Wealthybot, which is at wealthybot.io, is you basically go in, you start an account, and you start up a simulator or a simulation. The simulation is going to start off with $10,000 of fake money, and it's going to start trading that money for you automatically on a live exchange. Once you start making transaction purchases and sales, you're going to get emails about that. Hey, Wealthybot's making a purchase. Hey, Wealthybot is making a sale. Now, this would be technically real money, except for it is in a simulator. So you're able to see, oh, wow, I would have made $100 today. Oh, wow, I would have made $5,000 over 4 months. You can see that before you decide to put any kind of investments in. Also, we don't hold your investment. The software is that. It's a software, so it's just designed to tie into your exchange, which we help you learn how to set up an exchange, et cetera. And it just does all the trading for you. So your capital is always available in the exchange. So any person that's an investor knows never can you really get an investment happening that you can pull your money anytime you want. You go invest in Apple, you may even put the money in the stocks. And then when it's time for you to pull the money, then you're going to have to do all these different things to actually get ready to pull all the money out, right? It's generally also even a taxable event. If you invest on the ground level, it's definitely more difficult to get your money out because you need to wait until the company is in profit. So never do you really walk into a business deal. If you can imagine your friend that says, hey, man, I want the cash to start a wing stand. And he said, I need $20,000 and I'm going to give you back $30,000 off the money. So you $1,000 and hope his business works, and then hope when he starts making money, he's going to pay you. And that's, of course, why most people don't get paid. So this is totally different. If you said, I'm going to invest $20,000, and then 2 weeks from now, you said, hey, I just decided I want to take all my profits and I'm out. You can go and get your profits within a minute, 2-3 minutes, depending upon how fast you can transfer your funds. And your funds are right there in your pocket and you can move on. So there's nothing like that. In the past, traditional investors are generally looking for 3% of profit, and they're willing to let that sit there for 3 years or 3 to 5 years before they start getting their money back. We see 4 to 5% profit daily. So I want to explain a little bit about how the system works so that way everybody understands what happens and what it does. I started talking about, and again, if anybody is on any of our podcast lines, we're actually on YouTube.com, YouTube/Innerstanding. And then you can actually see the images of what I'm showing here. And that's just if you're on The Voice and you want to see pictures of what I'm actually showing. So what I'm basically showing is that I'm showing a live trader. It's actually in action right now. It started off with $6,000. It's been running for 5 months, and it's now made $10,239 in profit without doing anything. We set it and then we forget it. It's not even super tuned. And in this, what's happening is this bot, basically, this script is going in and out of the market, in and out of the market, in and out of the market. See, because what people sometimes are looking at is they want to put money into Bitcoin or put money into cryptocurrency, and they treat it like a lottery ticket. They're waiting for it to go way up there, $2 million. I don't know what's the next valuation for Bitcoin is. They want it to go up to 150,000, and then they're going to pull out that little $20 investment that they put in, and it's going to be $10,000 or something. So they go with these ideas that are not even really mathematically ethical. What this is about and what this system does is it actually makes micro transactions. So all of that up and down, up and down, up and down that's going on inside of the market, it's taking those little percentages of that up and down. So those little 3%, 4%, 5% is going to go in, come out, and then reinvest the profit. So if you look at this build, what it's done is the reason why you see this number $308,000 is you'll see that it's done that that many times with that original $6,000. So that should be very clear on how this works. It just goes in and out of the market based on the fluctuations of the market. So let's look at those fluctuations really briefly. If you notice here, you got this squiggly line, and every time that's going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, it's basically getting that little small percentage, that 3 to 5%. So while some people were thinking, hey, this cryptocurrency thing, it's kind of like not really that great because it's volatile. The bot loves that. Wealthybot loves that. It actually loves that volatility, because in that volatility, it's just getting that. As you see, it's been 24 hours here on this column. Let me blow it up for you a little bit. This is CoinMarketCap. You see in 24 hours, this has fluctuated 2.35%. This one has fluctuated 3%. So what if in that fluctuation, you just took your 3% profits and you were gone, and then you waited till it dropped a little bit again, and then you bought in again? That's what the script does in its most basic way. And in that, over time, you start accumulating wealth, and then it just builds itself. Okay. So that's how the system works. And what we've also done is that, so answering that original issue, well, how do I get it to work? If I'm jumping into the cryptocurrency market, there's a few things that I need to know. Where am I going to find that information? So that's what we did. We built these simple tutorials, which you'll find at the top of the wealthybot.io site. And those tutorials will guide you through the process of from beginner all the way to banker. So it will tell you everything about how it works. I wrote a book, a little small pamphlet called The Crypto Bible. It lets you understand all the terminology. You're able to download that here for free. You're able to go and visit our support docs, which are here, which lets you know every single thing you need to know about Wealthybot. And we encourage everyone here to read through these articles so you know how this works. But we also have a support group in Telegram where there's about 1,000 of us in that group. And if you ask a question and it doesn't just seem like you didn't read anything and you're going to be asking questions through the whole process, someone will assist you with getting through that process so that you can get set up. So it is that simple. If you invest the time in this, it'll be something that your kids, your mother, your aunties, your uncles, everybody around you will be like, man, I'm glad that you took the time out to educate yourself in the most advanced technologies that are actually available right now. So digital currency is the most advanced technology available right now when it comes to building wealth, right? So continuing with this, I wanted to talk about, let me see, because I'm almost done here. I'm going to get right into features. Let me just look over my notes here. Okay. So we're going to be talking about tips and tricks of basically superpowering Wealthybot if you just didn't want to set it and forget it. We talked about the Telegram group and how we offer you support there and how the support docs are available. Okay. I also wanted to talk to you about adoption. Okay. Adoption is big. Adoption literally is, how do I spin this? Because I'm not into that either. I'm building up all this digital currency, and for all I know, they could delete this with an EMF tomorrow. So I'm not trusting these systems or any of these systems. I learned enough about how all this works to not be putting trust in them. However, if you can build capital and then you can transfer that capital into resources, now you have something. So we're not asking you to just hold Bitcoin for the next 20 years, even though if you do, that's your prerogative. What we're also saying is that you got to cash out at some point, because that's really what's going on with most people. They're like, well, I don't really have enough money to invest. We have people with $50 in the system investing and churning off of that. So there's a misconception that, well, I don't have enough money to invest, because if I put my money into this cryptocurrency and I need to buy, I don't know, some socks, how am I going to go and buy that, since where am I going to find a place that takes the cryptocurrency? So not only in January is PayPal coming in. So this means that every place that you can use PayPal, you will be able to use crypto. It's also in Cash App. Even I, the other day, was like, well, I need to buy some stuff, and I'd rather use the profits that I've been making to actually buy it. So I went down over here to purse.io, which I've known about for a while, but I've never used it. I decided to boot it up, use it. It worked. So what I did is, and how this site works is, it basically allows you to buy anything off Amazon, and pretty much anything you need is on Amazon. So I went in, I just typed in, like I did just now, what I was looking for. So in this case, I'm looking for a generator, and it shows me all the generators on Amazon. Okay. So then I click one of these generators, and what happens is that they basically take Bitcoin for this generator. So who the people are behind this, they call them earners. What they are is people who have access to gift cards, Amazon gift cards through one means or another. And then what they want to do is they want to exchange those gift cards for Bitcoin. And so what they do is they become an earner in purchase.io, and then they sell off their gift cards for anybody who wants to come in and make a purchase. Now, I bought this YOLO box. It cost about $1,000, and I did the transaction. It took a day for it to go through, but it went through. So the reason why I'm mentioning this, though, is that, again, there's this stigma that people think that if I start making this money in the cryptocurrency, that I'm not going to be able to spend it. And that's why I'm not investing right now, because I don't have enough money to set aside like that. And what I'm telling you is that you have two ways to always win with something like this. So even if one way loses, you break even. And what I mean by that is in cryptocurrency, let's say as a business, if you're taking cryptocurrency as a form of payment, you have two ways of winning. The first way is somebody bought the product. Great. So you won. The second way is if somebody, let's say one person bought the product, you're holding that investment or that purchase inside of cryptocurrency, and the charts go up. Even if somebody didn't buy the product again, you still now have more money, because every time the charts go up and you're holding Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency, that amount increases. So I feel like that this is the odds that a lot of people need to succeed. I always call this phenomenon half magic. And it's basically that people seem to not be able to manifest exactly what they need. They kind of get halfway, and then they're trying to figure out how to get the other half. So what cryptocurrency offers is two separate ways for you to actually be able to succeed. One, in the purchase of it, and then two, it going up. So just think about that as far as an odds thing, and about how you can come into profits and expect money to come in just because the market is actually going up. And then also, if you already have a business already, you need to jump into Coinbase and set up a gateway and start taking cryptocurrency for whatever it is that you're doing. I know a friend, he did that 3 years ago. Still, man, I have a hard time catching up with this guy. He's already a multimillionaire because he started taking Bitcoins for some things that he was selling in his business. He started taking Bitcoins at $500. And of course, Bitcoin is at $27,000. So what did that do? That took his whole retirement plan, which was stretched out here, and it put it right here. And hey, that's just how lucky he was, right? So, or is it skill? Because the reality is that if you had been paying attention, you would have saw all this coming. Now, the benefit also of purse.io, if you get into that sovereignty thing, is that it's absolutely anonymous, meaning that you're able to hot swap, even from the Wealthybot gateways. You're able to hot swap your Bitcoin and your cryptocurrency around with your own privacy. And so that's something that I feel is big. So we're going to keep going with this. I just wanted to demystify this untruth that you can't spend cryptocurrency. And for many of us that are just trying to become sovereigns, we're trying to get off the grid. We don't want to deal with the system anymore. Again, just having a bunch of Bitcoin seems like an option, but it's like, well, if it builds, I want to be able to buy parts with it. I want to be able to buy lumber with it. I want to be able to buy some tents with it, some generators, etc. And you can do that right now. And when it hits January, when PayPal comes in, where the charts are going to keep going aggressively up, or at least stay in that up, down, there's going to be more money made. So we've now got new features inside of the software that makes it a lot more easier for you to pull profits. And this is because we're very concerned about pulling profits. I feel like that making profits is just as important as pulling profits. Some just see profits coming in and don't know how to get off those profits. So I just want to let you know there's a lot of adaptations already available to allow you to get off your profits and transfer your profits into actual resources. So now there's really no reason why you shouldn't be in. Also, I see someone mention Binance in here. That's another thing that I meant to put in my notes. The reason why we use the Binance exchange is that you can actually jump on Binance.com and you can actually begin to transact there, and you can do up to 1 Bitcoin a day with your privacy. So I'll say it as much as that, but it's just, there's a method here that allows you to be able to sustain yourself through automated wealth anonymously. And that is in itself golden. But again, where are we at? So I wanted to talk about very briefly some settings because we're almost also coming to a conclusion. We got about 15 minutes here. So my goal today was to come in here and to let you see how we've even supercharged the platform more with some new settings that allow you to make some things happen. So we sent out an email recently about how during bull runs, like what we're in right now, that the up-down strategy, which means just take money when it's going up, down, when set to 1.8% was catching a lot of traction. So I'm just going to show that briefly on the screen here so it makes sense. And what you're looking at here is that we're inside of the traders. This is all of the different coins that we're trading on, in this case, Binance right now. So I'm going to go into the settings of this trader. And again, if none of this makes sense, is because you haven't read any of the docs yet. So it will make sense to you once you read things. But I have an option here, and let me blow this up just a little bit for those that are trying to preserve their eyes. We have an option here that says up, down, the trading strategy. You see this? So we only have two trading strategies that we work with. This is to simplify this process because make no mistake, there are other bots out there. There's Gunbot, there's a few other bots, but they got a million settings. They seem to pride themselves on how many settings they can have. So when people get in there, they start pushing all these settings and then just losing money because most of those settings are actually designed to work in the stock market. They're not designed to work inside of the cryptocurrency volatile fields. So we've only taken settings and setups that actually work well with cryptocurrency. We may increase this to a couple more as we go, but this works. So our first strategy that you see here is the Wealthybot strategy. This strategy is designed to, even if you set a certain percentage that you want this trade to close at, right now, this is set to 1.8%. I have this on the up-down strategy. But if I had this on the Wealthybot strategy, once this position went above 1.8%, it may not close that position. It may try to see how much more money it could get before it closes the position. It does this based on moving averages and other data that the trader has. So very directly, the Wealthybot setting will allow you to get more money if it can, okay? Versus the up and down setting generally will sell the position at exactly whatever it is that you indicate or as close as possible. So in this case, if I put in $1.80 tether or 1.80 tether, percentage, I want this to close at 1.8% of profit. So I'm literally saying to clarify this, hey, when this thing gets to 1.8% in profit, close my sale. Okay, so what this strategy will do is it will close that sale right away. And so what we've noticed is we've noticed in this market, and this was our amazing developers on their side, always doing the best that they can to give us all the information that we need to have on this end to make this product work and actually deliver something to everyone. Big kudos to them. They were saying, hey, this up-down strategy we're seeing it's churning, it's making a lot of capital. So of course, I'm using this now. So what we do is we send these emails out. We tell you, hey, this is something that's working. And we plan on doing that more, especially as we get more and more quantitative data in about other traders running and other coins and different things that are happening that will make you better profits. So this is a community. This is a tribe. It's not just, hey, you're on your own. And we assist each other in getting to the next stage of utilizing this. But again, for those that don't want to deal with any of this, you can always set it and forget it, as we say. So I wanted to talk today about liquidating positions, okay? Like basically selling profits, taking profits, because there are some in the system now that, they have this question from time to time. How do I take profits? Also, all of this is available in our help docs. We now have two ways for you to take profits that are pretty easy to activate inside of your account. So imagine this then. So let's just understand what's happening here to understand why we would need to set the system so that it takes profits. So what the system is doing now is when you put some money into the exchange, in this case, you'll put it in the format of Tether. Let's say you have 2,000 Tether, which is the equivalent of about $2,000. And you put this inside of the exchange. Once you put it into Tether format, now Wealthybot sees that money through the API and it says, okay, I'm going to start investing this money. And Wealthybot's going to start making decisions and taking positions in different coins, whatever coins that you select that you wanted to take positions in. However, if the trader has been running for a prolonged period, it will have a tendency to use up all of the investment that is actually available. So this means that when you want to take profits, the profits may not necessarily be there because it keeps reinvesting these profits. So I want to teach you in the system today of how to kind of throttle back the trading so that way you can take profits. Okay. So, and we sent an email out about this. So a simple way that I use, and we're just going to take this, again, this is a list of all the traders. Let me go ahead and remove myself from the screen here. So this is one trader. This is a Bitcoin trader. It's trading Bitcoin. I'm going to go in here into the settings. And what I'm going to basically do is I'm going to tell this trader, hey, don't buy any more Bitcoin. But the positions that you have open right now, still close them based on this criteria. But once you're done closing them, don't buy any more. Now, the purpose of doing this is basically, now there's even an easier way that just came out in a new feature, which is amazing because the developers have been, again, knocking it out of the park with making things a lot more easier. But this was our traditional way. And you can still also use this to basically throttle back a trader and to really get it to close the positions that it has open before it starts investing again. So this is very simple logic. I'm just going to click this button, and I'm going to blow this up just a little bit more. And this button says, stop purchases above a certain rate. Okay. Stop purchases above a certain rate. This is easy as it sounds. I'm saying stop making purchases if this cryptocurrency, in this case, Bitcoin, is above $1. Now we know Bitcoin is at $27,000. So this is basically saying to the trader, hey, don't trade anymore. But the reason why I want to do it this way instead of deleting the trader is because this trader will have positions open and I wanted to close those positions. So if I went down this entire list and I did that, which I actually did on the bull run, sometimes I have a tendency to clean up during a bull run. It's kind of like my own paranoia. I'll sell into the wall. You know, these are good traits. If you see things going up and you have a lot of positions open, you can stop your traders, let your traders sell into the wall. They will close all the positions, and then you will have all of that profit sitting inside of your exchange in the format of Tether. Okay. However, there is even an easier way now. The easier way is that you would go back into the exchange. Okay. So I'm clicking here on the side where it says exchanges. So I have only one exchange running. I have the test simulator here, and then I have the Binance exchange, right? That's all I need. So I'm going inside of the Binance exchange here. And I think I probably have to zap my APIs when I'm done with the call, but it's all good. I'm clicking on enable the reserved amount, okay? And with this, what I'm capable of doing is I'm capable of saying, all right, well, technically what I want to do is I want to take $1,000 in profit at some point, okay? I want to take $1,000 in profit. So I'm telling it, hey, spend all of the money except for $1,000. That's what I'm telling it. So when I put $1,000 here and I save that, which I may take $1,000 to just test it out, make sure it works. So the reality is what I'm doing is I'm telling this trader, hey, go ahead and when you accrue $1,000 again, keep it there. Don't reinvest it. So what this will allow me to do is within a week or two, depending on how much traction is on the charts and how much money I have invested, I'll see my $1,000 sitting there in the exchange, and I can choose that then to move that to a cold wallet, and I've collected my profits. So to make this very simple again, whatever amount that you're looking to take as profits, you need to liquidate that amount from the exchange, because generally the bot will be using up everything that you have in the format of USDT. So if you set this here, as I showed you just a minute ago, and you say 500, then it's eventually going to hold $500 in profit. So that's as easy as how that works. And again, this is the fastest way to set the traders. So that way you're like, hey, even if it's $100, and then it will start accruing that money there. One thing that you need to be careful of, though, is that you don't set that number to less money than you have in the exchange in the first place, right? Seems like common sense, but we want to make sure that you know. Again, this is the super tuning process for those that are just jumping in and saying, hey, maybe that's a little too complex for me. You can always set it, forget it. You can set your traders into $1, pull your profits, all your profits when you want to. You can set specific numbers and pull the profits that way. Here's another thing. Another big benefit of setting that $1,000 there is we know that, or whatever that amount is we know that from time to time we have flash crashes, right? Where we see that maybe institutional money or whoever it is will come and fleece the market really briefly for maybe $1 billion or $2 billion. Sometimes this calls a panic sell and we can see the market drop maybe 20%. Now, we've seen this all before. So we'll have a tendency to just wait. We'll wait it out. And sure enough, just as you see it at 27,000 now, it will eventually reach back to that point of negative profits, or what we call the red. And then it will start popping into the green, and then it will start closing those positions. But the benefit also of the feature that I just showed you is that if you already know you have a trader running, and let's say, for instance, with this trader, it's sitting on 10,239 tether inside of the Binance exchange, I may say, all right, well, I want to reserve $3,000 of this so I can catch action in a flash crash. And what I mean by that is if I have $3,000 of this still sitting in there and I'm telling Wealthybot, don't touch that $3,000, if there's a crash early in the morning of 20%, I can then uncheck that box and I can then release that amount. So I would just uncheck this and then I will release that amount and Wealthybot will begin to trade on the dip with the reserve capital that I have. Now, why is that important? That's important because now if you utilize that feature, even though it takes a little bit more management than the set it and forget it, you will probably at least increase your profits by 50%. Why? Because generally, if the market dips and all those positions are open and they're in the red, now you're on the floor, let's say, and now you're waiting for things to go back up before you can start collecting profit again. This is going to take some time. However, if while it's on the floor, you release your reserve, now it's going to start investing. So as it's coming up, you're also making profits on that shelf. And then also when it reaches that higher shelf. Okay. So I trust that makes sense. If there's something that you need to know more about that, then definitely hit us up in support. I want to also show you another technique that, again, if you're super tuning, I feel like is necessary at times when, you really get into this. And if you want to, again, maximize your profits. Let me turn me off here so you can see the whole screen. I'm going to show you example here. Now, obviously, as you know, if you're using the system, we don't trade every single cryptocurrency. There's a reason for that. We actually look first for USDT pairs, and then we're also looking for coins that have the type of what we call not only volatility, but also the type of market cap and volume that we're looking for. So basically, there needs to be money in the coin for there to be money to collect. So what we do is we always pick what we feel are the best projects, okay? However, from time to time, you get a Ripple scenario. Okay, everybody knows what happened to Ripple. They've been subpoenaed. So are they still in 3rd%? Third, I guess. How does Tether? Ooh, these two. So anyway, so now they're not in 3rd anymore. They're now in 4th, and they're dropping down the charts because, as you know, that XRP has been subpoenaed, and this is causing some FUD or some doubt. And really, in this market, it's not that XRP is probably not going to make it through. It's that, hey, if there's something even going on with this, people would just go on to another coin. There's hundreds of them. So we know we had the situation with XRP and they've fallen off. Wow, that's a heavy fall. Let's see, what is that? Was that recently? Yeah, no, that's 2018. So they kind of fell. I guess I need to zoom in a little bit more here in the 3-month. Okay, so you see there's a fall here, right? So these things you just can't prevent. Sometimes you can't even call this. I don't think anybody was able to call this. Actually, some people were able to call this because they kind of know that Tether's XRP has been a little full of crap. So something finally happened. It drops off. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because sometimes you can do maintenance on your positions, and that will allow you to prevent situations from happening because you just know the coin. So I always say, definitely investigate the project so that you can know the coin. I'm going to give you an example here with helium. So again, those who knew about Ripple, even though we received a high request to add Ripple, I think Ripple was mooning. And people were saying, hey, why don't you have Ripple in the system? So after a few delegations and decisions, we decided to add it. Okay. You see what happened. However, what we have a tendency to do is we investigate projects and we add projects that we feel have some potential. Now, I've liked Helium because Helium is probably one of the only coins that haven't went to Coinbase that are still owned by Peter Thiel, the Founders Fund, which are also the owners of Ethereum, the owners of Facebook, etc. So this is the last coin left. And so I added Helium. But I know that the floor, and we're just using a term here, and we're going to call this term the floor. The floor on Helium is between $1.30 to $1.40. What does that mean? That means that if Helium crashes, it's going to end up somewhere around $1.30. Now, why is it important for me to know that knowledge? And let's look at the charts here. We see Helium dip down. It's at $1.27, okay? We see it dip down again. It's at $1.23, okay? So we like to call this the floor, or at least this is probably like the first floor. I think the floor on this coin is like 90 cents. But the first floor is between probably $1.30 and $1.40. So what you're basically looking for is that, hey, when it does hit this bottom area, what number is that? And that says, hey, it's $1.25. That says, hey, it's $1.27. This says, hey, it's actually $1.29. Okay, so what this means is, and this is actually establishing a new floor. So this means that, hey, this coin has a tendency to keep hitting this same floor. So why would I buy this coin at $1.60 right now when it keeps doing this? So simple maintenance allows you to be able to go back in. You go to your traders. And then let's say that Helium trader, which is here, I'm going to set a new floor. And I'm going to do that right now because the floor was $1.40. So how I'm doing that is I'm using this option that's called stop purchases. Once again, stop purchases above a certain rate. I'm clicking on that. And then I'm saying $1 at this point, $1.30, right? I don't want to go too low, but I'm going to go $1.30. So I'm telling this trader, hey, don't buy any more Helium until it reaches below $1.30. So this is extra maintenance that you can do because you can kind of look at a coin and you can say, well, where's the floor of this coin? Let's go to Ethereum, right? Because I'm bullish on Ethereum. I know many of us out here are bullish on Ethereum. So where technically is the floor? And again, these are those that don't want to use the set it and forget it and want to just, completely optimize all the time. But it's interesting because right now we're going what they call parabolic. So there is really no floor on Ethereum right now. We're just on that huge rise, right? So technically, this floor for me, or the last dip, if you may, was $642. So I may tell, if I want to just be a stickler for detail, I may tell my exchange, my trader to not trade until it reaches like $700 or something like that. So see, this is like additional maintenance to where you can kind of determine where the floor of a coin is, and you can save the amount of position. You can reduce the amount of positions that you would actually have in the red this way. Now, what ultimately generally is happening, now we can't predict the market. I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm only just telling you, hey, this is my experience with it. But if something is going like this and will gradually do this, it means that, as you'll see with Wealthybot, even if it takes a position over here at 735, as long as this keeps going up, then it's eventually going to collect profits. However, the techniques that I've showed you today actually allow you to insulate yourself a bit better if you don't see those profits right away. As you can see, there's a ravine here. This ravine is lasting for a certain period. You may have been, up here at 630 and it went all the way to 592 or 580. How long did it take for it to get back up here? It took a few days. So that's the interesting thing about this market. Again, because we're in a bull market, is it's not taking a long time for it to recover the positions that have been taken. So what I'm getting at here is, well, I have, of course, one more announcement here. It's actually about our affiliate program. Obviously, in our gateway. Okay, so one of the biggest things that has changed about Wealthybot that we've made some updates to is we've changed the gateway. So let me just jump in here really briefly and let me go in here to the gateway and show you what we have going on. And this gateway, it's kind of making things a bit more convenient. We were using fiat at first, but now we've installed a cryptocurrency gateway. And I feel like it's a good move for where we're going because it actually allows you to hot swap. That means basically put credits into the system because the system, when you're making profits, once you come out of a simulator, it works on credit. So you do need to feed it credits based on the profits. So as you see here, all I've done is went to the credit screen to purchase some credits. I put $200 in there, and now it's giving me these options. This is the new gateway. This gateway is run through Coinbase. So you can still use fiat. You can still use credit cards because Coinbase accepts all of that. But also what you can do is you could just use the hot swap system, which is basically the same as Uniswap, which is down here for the coins that we have available. So if I selected Bitcoin, I would literally be able to transfer funds to Bitcoin from Bitcoin right from my wallet. So I would sidestep Coinbase technically from their, lack of privacy there. And I would be able to add credits into the system. And I'm able to do that through the gateway. And that is now how Wealthybot is set up. So that's another massive benefit because, again, it allows you to be able to come right into the system and actually do that and maintain some of your privacy. So the last thing here is that I was mentioning is our affiliate program, because we actually put in this new gateway, which means that we need to test things out. We need to make sure numbers are working properly. We're planning on having that on board probably by the end of January, maybe towards the beginning of February. And in this time, what this actually allows you to do is begin to invite your friends into Wealthybot, and then you begin to earn credits also for the profits that they're earning within Wealthybot. So this technically, especially if you have a pretty good downline, it could keep your Wealthybot fueled with credits as you continuously build profit. And then it would really be a set it and forget it because you wouldn't even have to go in from time to time to add credits. So we're at 11:58. That actually gets me through everything that I wanted to present in today's build. However, I do want to take a moment just to let everyone know that, it's really always about seizing the opportunity. Sometimes, because I'm always a big critic of myself, is I will tell myself, hey, go do X. And then I'll feel like, I don't really want to do that right now. So I always will tell myself, well, how long is that going to take anyway, though? And then if I do like some quick calculations in my mind, it may only take like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And then so I'll say, man, it's only going to take 10 or 20 minutes. And then I'll start doing it and literally start counting down that time. So this is just basically ways that you can make yourself do something that you keep telling yourself you're going to do. And then the opportunity keeps passing by. We started with Wealthybot. I believe this was back in February, March, somewhere in there. And there's been a lot of action on the charts. But if you plan to get in and you knew about it during that time and you didn't get in yet, I don't want you to be sitting there thinking, oh, well, it's too late now. Bitcoin is at 26,000. I kind of missed the run. What I'm telling you is the run hasn't even really began yet. Not to mention the way the software is designed is it's getting the profits off of the micro that is happening, the up and down volatility. And in this way, you're actually able to begin to build up cryptocurrency. Now, ultimately, what you want to do is keep assessing what your math is. How much are you pulling in profits? How much are you putting to the side? And then, of course, what are you doing with this? Are you going to just let it sit up there until it becomes $4 billion in Bitcoin? Or are you actually beginning to take profits and starting to set up your sovereignty, buying land? There are also companies that take Bitcoin directly, and they will take your Bitcoin and then give you infinite options to send a wire transfer of real money from a bank to anywhere. I think it's called TDJ. It's like one of the biggest companies now that are basically holding cryptocurrency in escrow for home buyers. So this means, hey, you make $300,000 on cryptocurrency. You decide to buy a couple hundred acres, depending on where you're at. You can literally send this company the Bitcoin. They will then take it and then send you a authority to basically send a wire transfer to whoever is selling that home. So again, let's remove ourselves from the mindset that it's not easy to liquidate cryptocurrency. It's actually easier than gold. Let's remove ourselves from the mindset that we can't be the bank. The richest families in the world are bankers. Why? Because banking is the highest commodity. You're dealing directly with the money, and then now you have the opportunity to do that too. So I was going to take some time to actually take some questions, but I think since we're at the top of the hour, I will leave those questions for anybody who wants to jump inside the chat. If you jump onto wealthybot.io, you'll find access and links to the chat so you can get in there and get information that you need. The tutorials are available on the site. That's what it is. So I was just here today. It's almost the end of the year. This could be a New Year's resolution for you. I'm going to get my stuff set up so that way, you know, I can say that I'm in. I can tell you for sure that I was going to be in way before even 2017. Even as a computer person, I started working with it on my computer to get ready to buy some Bitcoin. And I ran into a little issue with the wallet IDs or whatever. And I was trying to figure out what was what. And then in that process, I missed the opportunity because I let it sit there for a couple of days. Eventually, I closed the window and I never came back. At that rate, I think Bitcoin was at $300. I was going to buy at least $5,000 worth. How much was that? So putting off what you could do today for tomorrow also the most is not the way to go. Also remembering that there's an extreme amount of responsibility that you need to take for yourself and your financial future. Some may have a stimulus check on the way. Maybe it's $2,000, maybe it's $600. I'm not sure. But still, if you take that money, is not going to last you forever anyway. So why not use it to make money off of it? Put it into something that is going to keep accruing more profit. So that way you actually look up one day and it's already made $2,000. What are my goals that I initially set? I'll say that and I'm done. The goal that I initially set when I started using the system for myself is I said, I just wanted to make back the money that I invested. So I put $6,000 into my own personal trader. That $6,000 is now at $10,000 in around 7 to 8 months, right? And that's even me playing around with it and tweaking it and doing stuff and messing things up, and I'm still in profit. So now I pulled the $6,000 and I put that somewhere else. Because now I know I'm basically doing what? I'm playing with free money. Even if it goes up in smoke tomorrow, it doesn't matter because I didn't lose anything. So that's something that I feel like that, you know, keep in mind that you can set that as a goal to, I'm just, you know, I'm investing this $500. And then when it gets to $500, I'm going to pull that 500 and then I'm going to let it make money off of the $500 in profit that it has there. So you can set goals like that and then watch the Wealthybot system fulfill those goals. So wholeness and balance vibrations to everyone. I trust that you'll have a great time over this New Year's. It's the 29th. We're a few days from the 1st. It's 2021 coming in. I feel like there's a silver lining in all of the stuff that's been happening. You know, there's been a big shakeup in the world economies and the medicines and the masks and all that stuff. But you always have to remember that when all of that's going on, it's generally a distraction from something. There's nothing that comes in this world that doesn't come with two sides. It's the sheer design of the whole thing that you will have every single thing here that has a positive and a negative side. So just because everybody wants to highlight the negative all the time, you have to be the one to go and find what is the positive. And then what you'll generally find is a huge wellspring because others will generally not be looking for it. And then you'll be able to bring yourself into a greater level of abundance based on what's happening. So just remember, everything that you see going on around you can always be used to benefit you. If you see something happening and it's worrying you and it's scaring you, this means you got to get more serious then. I love that sobering, hey, it's time to get serious. It's time to figure out where you're really at in all of this. So so don't get worried is what I'm saying. Just get serious, make some commitments to yourself and follow through. And we're also here for you in support. If you get stuck on something or you can't figure something out, there's the Crypto Bible. All this stuff is free. And you get an opportunity to even use the simulator. So at this point, there's no more excuses. If you wake up one morning and Bitcoin's sitting at 100,000, you got to ask yourself, hey, was I really available to collect any of those profits for myself? Because now you can. So wholeness and balance vibrations. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you on the other side, and we'll keep going with this. Thank you so much for your time and attention in helping yourself gain wealth and sovereignty, wholeness. We'll also have the archives up for this in a few hours. You'll also see the archive on YouTube. For those that have been tuning in through Clubhouse, thank you so much for hanging in there. I definitely saw a few people that stayed through on the whole thing. We plan on definitely jumping into the app a bit more and spreading more awareness around this amazing opportunity and many other things that we have going on. So thank you so much for joining in, and we'll see you soon. You can always catch us at secretenergy.com. Automations are running there now for free. You can actually get yourself together. And then there's also wealthybot.io, which we were speaking on today. This software is incredible. We invite you to come take a look, at least start a simulator and see what it can do for you. And also we're available on YouTube/Innerstanding. There you'll find a plethora of materials about wholeness, metaphysics, sovereignty, and becoming who you truly are. We'll see you soon.